When you lift something heavy, it's a good time to brace your core, but that may be the only time you want to keep your spine in neutral. In fact, the spinal engine theory states that when we walk or run, our movement is initiated by the spine rather than the legs. That was news to me. For a long time, we've used a strength perspective to view human movement. But just like any other joint in the body, the spine should have the ability to move freely, produce force, and stiffen when needed. The problem is, most of us are just way too familiar with the stiffening. It's taught in physical therapy and traditional exercise. But getting movement in your back is key. We can start with basic cat-cow to warm up, moving from global flexion by tucking the chin and raising the belly upwards, and then moving to extension by looking up and moving the belly downwards. Most people won't have a problem with this, so let's get to something more challenging. So picture a dancer moving elegantly on stage. Dancers are the peak expression of a supple body, and they would never keep their spine stiff and rigid. The spinal wave as a tool was popularized by Ido Portal years ago and has had a big influence on many people. Learning now to move segments of your spine rather than the whole thing. This will be humbling for anyone stuck at a desk or under a barbell. Using a wall for feedback, move the nose and chin first to the wall, then the chest and sternum, and lastly, the hips. The wave action occurs as one segment moves towards the wall, the previous moves away. We'll put a link to Ido's video in the description. Of course, this is kind of weird. It may challenge the ego to put the dumbbells down and start acting like a modern dancer. Trust me, I felt the same way, but there's good reason to try it. The spine is where our nervous system lives. Having coordination and even rhythm of the spine will most likely put our system into more balance. And for me, I'll gladly do something embarrassing if it makes my body feel better. So close all the windows in the house, give it a shot. Let's move to athletic spinal movement. Now, David Weck has been a pioneer in spreading the spinal engine theory for human movement. He's popularized the term head over foot, which is what happens when you rotate and shift the body rather than stay in neutral. You'll notice top athletes around the world with a certain swagger, but it may just be that their spine is loose and they don't resist movement. There's a tool that teaches this head over foot pattern extremely well, and that's swinging a rope. But you don't necessarily need a rope. You can use a resistance band or even a shoe. This is called the underhand figure 8 pattern. Swing your rope in an underhand direction right at the side of your body. When you feel ready, switch the rope to the other side, maintaining the pattern. Eventually, you'll alternate sides, making a figure 8 pattern with your hands. The spine and arms initiate your movement as you transfer weight from side to side. The whole body becomes integrated. Now you can start to think of this pattern as you walk or run. Don't resist the torso movement. If anything, exaggerate it like you just hit a game winner. A unique human ability is throwing with accuracy. This may have pushed human evolution by giving us better ways to attain meat and fend off enemies. Luckily, our shoulders, elbows, and fingers are primed to throw a spear or a ball well. But what transfers force from the legs to that ball is the core and the spine. Often, we ignore the rotational abilities of the spine for traditional straight line exercises. Throwing a ball can be a great way to train spine rotation in a very functional way. I like to throw a tennis or lacrosse ball against a wall, alternating the arm I throw with, and let me tell you, the left side isn't too pretty. Of course, we can make rotational movement into an exercise in various ways. Throwing a medicine ball against a wall, there's certain movements with steel mace or Indian clubs that teach us to be strong through rotation. And if you dig the rope, then the pattern that we call dragon roll mimics the start of a throw pattern and rotates the spine and shoulders. And if you're already putting some time into running, then like we discussed earlier, exaggerating your spine movement in a run or a sprint can be a great way to train powerful rotation. If we agree that the spine should move, then we may also find it logical to strengthen the spine's ability to move through full ranges of motion. Full flexion turns into the Jefferson curl. This strengthens the spine's ability to move into a fully rounded position. This compresses the body, stretching the whole backside. Back bending of any variation strengthens the spine ability to move into full extension. This will put the whole front side of the body on stretch and strengthens the backside. link to full tutorial below. And seated side bends gets us moving the torso laterally, stretching the opposite side. The importance here is resilience. If you can be strong with 50 pounds in your hand in a fully flexed position, chances are you won't tweak your back while reaching for a toy on the ground. But these abilities should all be built up to gradually, over the course of months or even years. And yes, it is also extremely important to build core strength in more traditional ways, resisting movement through the spine, through things like planks, hollow holds, leg lifts, dead bugs. These can all be very beneficial, but the point of this video is to highlight the idea that the spine is built to move. We are not stiff machines independent of our legs and arms. The most athletic people in the world are the opposite of stiff and rigid. The most fluid movers flow through their spines. We should not let strength and rehab leak into our idea of human movement. If we need any more evidence of this, we can look to other animals. Most move their spine impressively in coordination with the rest of their body as they move. It makes sense that we would be no different. Do you train your spine to move or keep it in neutral? What have been the best exercises for you? Comment below, as always.
Yo guys, I wrote a book called Become More Flexible and Less Stiff in Just 15 Minutes a Day. It's all about developing a daily movement practice. It will no doubt help you get more flexible, but it'll also probably help you develop more healthy habits. For the next 2 weeks for our Strength Side audience, the Kindle version is free. I'd love it if you check it out. Give us a review on Amazon, link in description. We also have some new gear, strengthside.com.
Oh shit, why did I look?